Time for a little bit about loops. Loops are an essential part of just about any program, not just PHP. A vast majority of what you do will be inside of loops, not always, but a good portion, particularly if it's repetitive. In class, I talked about arrays very briefly, and this is going to be equally brief. An array is a kind of variable, except in this case, the array contains not just one value, but multiple values. And here you can see we have 5 values. So the variable things contains the contents of the array, which has car, truck, plane, bulldozer, and bike in it. And these arrays can be really fun to work with, and I say that sarcastically. They can be really nasty. But let's look at our first loop. This is a for each loop, and these are specifically for working with either arrays or something called objects, which we'll look at later. In this case, for each thing, or each things, what you're going to do is assign that thing to value. So in this case, the first time through, you'll get car. So for each things as value, we'll have car in it. It will print it. And then because we have 5 items in here, it will go through it 5 times. So the next time it goes through the loop, value will contain truck, then plane, then bulldozer, then bike. And then it will print them. So let's have a quick look. And there we see array contains car, contains truck, contains plane, contains bulldozer, contains bike. So again, things here is a standard variable, except that what it contains is an array, which is a bunch of values, whereas a standard variable normally carries one value. In this case, with this, it contains 5 in an array. For each then grabs an item out of things, puts it in value, prints it, goes back and gets the next value until it's out of items to put into value, and then it exits the loop here. You can see the curly bracket character here, which is a block of code contained herein, and this will execute and as long as there is something to print, and then when there isn't anything, it exits. Straightforward. Now here's a standard for loop. Very easy to understand once you get the hang of it. So let's break it down like this. For if $i is equal to 0, and $i is less than 20, then add 1 onto I, but print formatted the value of I. And it will keep doing this until it reaches 20 iterations. Now remember our weirdness with 0 being a part of the number counting scheme. So the block in this loop will execute until it reaches that number, then it will exit. Let's see what it looks like. I equals 0, 1, 2, etc. until it reaches 19. So in essence, we still have 20 numbers here. I'll go through that again. For, and in this case, this is the way I'm describing it, for if $i is equal to 0 and $i is less than 20, add 1, enter the loop, execute the code inside, in this case print formatted. All we're doing in this case is simply printing out the value of I. Once it prints it, it goes back. It's no longer going to be equal to 0, so this only ever gets evaluated once in this case. This is what it's called. We're evaluating that. So the next time it says, is it less than 20? In this case, yes it is. Increment it, print it, and it'll keep doing that. So let's go and have a look at our next loop. This is another standard loop in PHP and in many programming languages. It's called a while loop. So we've initialized a variable to contain the number 0. And then in here, while $i is less than 20, execute the code inside the loop. In this case, again, we simply print the value of I, and this time, unlike the for loop, we're actually incrementing I by 1 within the loop instead of in the for statement. So increment I, go back, is I less than 20? Yes, it is in this case. So it keeps going through this until it equals 20 times through the loop. And it should look just like the last loop. It does. So we have I equals 0 to I equals 19. And that's all I'm going to cover in this short video. I will do more later.